Friday forward was just a different approach. I'm going to get mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to get whatever it is. If it's an extra sweater,
right.
If it's a fucking Nike hat, whatever the fuck it is, I'm going to get something for me out of this, because it appears that there's more to this than just driving to work and keeping the peace.
Hey, Matt Cox, and I'm going to be interviewing Mike Dowd. And Mike Dowd is a former New York City police officer, 75th Precinct. I just watched a documentary on him. It's a great documentary. We're going to put the link for the documentary. Might even do a little thing. It's on YouTube, so we can do a little thing right here. Bring, that little thing. Mm-hmm. And they can watch the documentary. And we're going to go over Mike's story, and that's it. Appreciate it.
So I'm happy to be here. My name is Mike Dowd. If you've seen the 7-5 documentary, you'll know a little bit about the story. And if you don't, check out the documentary. It's an interesting story about the 1980s. Basically, in the New York City Police Department, the corruption during the crack epidemic that hit New York City.
Right. Yeah. It's a great documentary. It's a great story. But anyway, so let's just start. So I'm just gonna go with what struck me about the whole story in general is that you were what, like you were what, 19 or 20 or something?
Well,
when you joined?
I was 21 and like a week when I became a New York City cop.
Right, but what'd you do? You went to the
police academy.
Yeah, but why did you always want to be a police officer? Or
no, it's just so I come from a long line of civil servants. My father was a New York City firefighter. My grandfather was a New York City bus driver. My great-grandfather was a New York City cop for a week. So it was back in the day when he said men sleep at night, so he refused to do a midnight shift. So yeah, the Irish civil servant underbelly of New York City that was New York City in the probably from the 40s on up until now, so I wouldn't say currently, because it's more like Hispanic and African American, but so every ethnic group works their way through, and usually it's the city jobs that the politicians control, and they end up being in whatever ethnicity is in the city at the time.
Right.
Becomes politically in charge, and then politically in charge, some patronage takes place, and then for years, the Irish ran the police department in New York City.
Right. So,
which had nothing to do with the civil service hiring exams. It's just that it was the place to go for work.
Right. And so you went to the police academy in your 20s, and then you're 21 years old, and you get hired right away. And
right.
You ended up in one of the worst.
Well, so I ended up in the police academy, and so I took the job because I wanted to get laid, I wanted to get married.
Of course.
I needed to have a job.
Yeah, your priorities, right?
Yeah, so my penis was my priority. It pretty much still is, and so I needed to get a job, and in order to get married back then, you needed to get a job. I don't know about today, but back then you needed to have a job, and so having a police job was a career that would at least give you some stability if you treated it that way, and so I took the job. And then, of course, immediately after I took the job, the girl I was dating and engaged to said, "I'm not marrying a police officer. That's crazy." So I found myself basically, after the police academy, semi-broken up, single, crying and bitching and moaning that why don't you want to be with me type of thing.
Right.
Which, in the end, she was probably right the whole time.
Right. She made the right call.
She made the right call, but I refused to accept that.
Right.
Because of my hard-headed 20% stud muffin and 80% muffin or something going through me.
So then you ended up, so you met your wife at the time, or a few years later?
No, so I was dating her, went through the academy, we broke up, we got back together, broke up, she got pregnant, we got back together, and got married. Yeah.
So you started at the police
police academy. Yeah.
Well, right, but I mean, then you went to the 75th Precinct, which is one of the most dangerous.
Well, so I ended up in Queens first, and as a rookie. So I cut my teeth as a rookie in Queens, walking the streets if anyone's familiar with Roosevelt Avenue, under the L, Junction Boulevard. It was back then. It was called Little Columbia, because that was where the Colombians settled in and did all their cocaine distributions from. Right. Was Elmhurst, Jackson Heights, Corona, Queens, and that's when all the airports in New York were used as the main transport hubs for the cocaine from Colombia. So it was insane.
Right.
But that was high end, because the Colombians were high-end. They weren't street dealers. They were major, massive movers of cocaine. So I worked in a really pretty nice precinct, which is the 110 in Corona, Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, as a rookie. And then I learned a little bit about what was going on, but you didn't see street-level activity because it was the guys that were moving tonnage. Right? And then after about a year or so of that time, I ended up getting transferred to the 7-5, and I thought I went to fucking hell. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is this?
Well, I saw that at that time, New York City was like what was it, like 3,600 people were being murdered every single year.
So everybody gets that number confused, but it was about 2,000 people were murdered a year, but probably on the upward side of 20,000 is shot. For about every one person that dies, 8 to 10 get shot. So you can imagine, so you can.
He got shot a little bit.
Yeah, it's just no big deal. He just gets shot.
I was in prison. Somebody got stabbed in the yard, and I said, I think somebody got killed in the yard. And he goes, no, he just got stabbed up a little bit.
Just a little bit.
How do you even say that?
Yeah. That's how life. That was life. So anyway, so here it was. I was a Long Island kid, right? I was born in Brooklyn, but raised on Long Island, where it was pretty much peachy keen. Everything was okay. Right. I mean, I grew up in a mixed neighborhood, so there was no like black white animosity or hatred, or we played sports, so we interacted well. But when you get into the ghetto and you really see what life's about, like for those people in the ghetto, not ethnic, but the people in the ghetto. I mean, my best friends were Hispanic and black when I was a kid. So, but when you see how they live in the ghetto life, it's like, oh my God, this is a fucking different world. You know, like. Those people that are ethnic in my neighborhood wouldn't fucking survive in this. They'd be like, that's why they're there out by me, Right. So it was just insane. And but I guess the insanity was the complete. You just said he got stabbed up in the yard.
Yeah. Yeah, they just shrug it off like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, he got shot. He's all right. He took 8 shots, but he's good. I mean, I came across people. And it's insane. Like this one guy was shot like 9 times, and so I put the 95 tag on his toe. Yeah, I put the 95 tag on his toe, and a week later, I'm talking to his wife at the precinct, because the precinct was a good place to use the phone.
What is the 95? What does that mean?
I'll get to it.
Okay.
So I put this 95. So the guy, I'm talking to this woman. I said, I'm really sorry to hear about your husband. What else am I going to say? I passed her. She noticed me. I noticed her, and little coochie mama, on the phone, half her belly hanging out, it's the summer, figure she's looking to get laid at the precinct, whatever, that's a good place to get laid, right? There's 450 cops, there's fucking 425 men, Anyway, so she's at the phone on the payphone of the precinct, making a phone call, and we passed glances, and I am really sorry to hear about your husband, and she goes, what do you mean? I go, well, he got shot 9 fucking times. I put the 95 tag, the DOA. I put the DOA tag on his toe in the hospital. And I've never done that before, by the way. I was not always, I wasn't there like at deceased time but I put the 95 tag on his toe because I was busy. I had some things to do. And I figured by the time this is over, I don't want to come back and have to do it. Turned out, he says he's over there on the phone making a phone call. Here's a guy who was shot 9 times. He looked see, I put this nice white t-shirt on, maybe for effect today, because he looked like this shirt. That's how white this man was. Like going into the OR, I put the 95 tag on his fucking toe, and turned out he wasn't dead. He was on the outside phone. She was on the inside phone in the precinct. He was on the outside phone at the precinct. So yeah, that was like, all right, so that's not normal, but that's normal. Do you know what I mean? It's no big deal. Oh, okay, he made it. Oh, sorry. Next. Yeah. So, but it was thrilling. It was exciting to go to work.
Yeah.
So you think about it, like, we're adrenaline junkies in some way or another, right? We seek the bizarre, or we just want to see crazy stuff in life. And so when you're a New York City cop back in that day, like every day was like a surprise, but fun. Right. It was exciting. What's going to happen today? And like you never really worried about yourself.
Right.
In the beginning,
Right.
The first realization that this is real and nothing really matters.
Right. Well, you had said it felt like, oh no, that was your partner. It felt surreal, and everybody kept saying throughout the whole documentary, they keep saying, that you never seemed. They were like, Mike never seemed scared. Like he was never worried about any of this stuff. Like to him, it was not a big deal. Like, and even you had mentioned like Well, just the whole thing, like nobody was out to get you except for that one time.
Right.
Like, you didn't feel like you were in danger. Like you were.
No, it's like Teflon Don, right?
Right.
John Gotti went to trial, and he'd be smoking a cigar at the end of the afternoon, and it just became, I was one of 7 kids.
Right.
I was a survivor in that realm. You know what I mean? I learned how to survive. I learned how to get my food and how to work my way through that. So it always seemed like I'd always find a way, no matter what problem I was in. Some of the stories that you shared with me about your stuff, you always found a way to make it work, or to come out okay. Like, no matter how bad things are, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, this is just an obstacle. I have to get around it.
How am I?
Right. Most people, I just find that most people in life, they hit an obstacle and that's it.
That's it.
It's over.
Right.
It's over.
They surrender and they turn around.
Right.
And
it's like, this is just something.
I wish I did.
Right.
Because the first obstacle, I had signs and I had warnings and I had, people confront me at times. And from my mother, who was like the most dangerous confrontation.
Right.
Your mother confronts you, your wife, or a family member. I even remember before I got arrested, my father said to me, one of my friends in the Suffolk County Police Department, a family friend, close family friend, like cousinish, said that your name was dropped around a little bit, and wanted to make sure that you were on the up and up, and of course. What am I going to say to my dad?
Yeah,
Dad, you're right. I have a severe problem I'm facing. You're going to tell your father, yeah, you're right, Dad, I'm robbing everybody in Brooklyn, I'm selling cocaine on Long Island?
Right.
I have a hard time transitioning from being the charmed son with the 4 homes, condominium on the ocean, the brand new Corvette, the beautiful wife, the ex-girlfriend. It's hard to go, yeah, I am doing something wrong. You mean you figured it out? You're not even a detective and you figured this out. So.
Well, so when was the first time you actually did something that you knew you were crossing the line?
I always talk about the time when I took money, when I basically told the kid that I didn't want to give him summonses because I don't give a fuck about summons.
Right.
I don't gain on a summons.
Right.
Right. So, and it's not that, I'm not supposed to gain. It's a police job. It's a civil service position. You're supposed to serve the public. But there comes a point where you begin to get frustrated. In any job, you can get frustrated. Right. But as a police officer, you're supposed to maintain your decorum and continue on like a true blue trooper.
Right.
But I guess sometimes when the humanity comes in, you go, I could use a good meal.
Right.
Not that I'm starving.
Yeah.
I never starve.
But you're living off of $600 a week.
No, $600 every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Yeah, but he's misled by that. I was clearing $300 a week. In fact, in the academy, I was clearing $205 a week. And then, you get a little bit of raise, I was clearing at one point, $303 a week in the 7.5,
Right. But this was
83, 84.
40, yeah, this is like 40 years ago. But even then, that's like no money.
It was paltry.
You're trying to. It's like
I would have at the end, and I didn't have any bills, by the way. I lived with my parents. Right, so
you can't live by yourself.
You're a young rookie cop. You're living with your parents. I'm talking about that era in the early part.
Right,
and so maybe I'm banking. I'm giving them $50 a week, and I'm banking $200. Right, because I want to save it get a house so I can get married. That's why I took this job, right?
Right.
And but you see that it's really not it's not going that well. The savings is not really mounting up pretty quickly for a guy who's living home and having reduced bills. Which I was financially very responsible throughout my whole life. Anyway, so accounting major in college. Yeah. So very good, and did pretty good at it. So I realized that the money was just not adding up. And so when you pull somebody over and they're like fucking, let's say they're 17.
Right.
And first of all, and they don't even have a license. They don't even have a registration. They don't even have license plates on the fucking car.
Right.
And yet, when you pull them over, they got a stack of hundreds in there. Back then, it was fanny packs. Those fanny packs, the leather pouches, the pouches and shit. Did you have one?
No, I didn't.
You didn't have one.
I knew people.
You knew people. Yeah. So it's stacked with hundreds. I'm like, what the fuck? I got $6. And it's got to last me. It's Tuesday. It's got to last me to Thursday at 4:00 when the checks roll in. So you don't have to feel bad for a guy, but that's what it is. So I'm like, fuck. Where are you from? Puerto Rico. The guy's not even a fucking, like, of course he's a citizen, but he's not, like, he just got here from Puerto Rico last week. He bought a car, a Corvette. He bought himself a Corvette, and he's got a stack of hundreds in his wallet, in his pouch. So I could use a fucking nice meal. I'm not gonna tell him I want your money. I didn't know how to make that transition. So you got $1,800 worth of summonses here, plus I got to take your car. So who knows when you're gonna get it back and whatever. Tow, pay for a tow, pay for storage. But if you got me a good fucking lunch, and a good one, I mean like a lobster lunch. Then this will go away.
Right.
So that's like that was the first time that I did it with intention.
Right.
There were other moments where I let things go or saw things I didn't care about, like maybe it was some drugs somewhere, or, never to my benefit.
Right.
Never to my benefit, just like maybe it was laziness or I didn't give a fuck, whatever. I've witnessed things. But in this case, it was like I took an aggressive approach to try and get something.
Yeah.
And like we discussed previously, it felt like I was nervous. I thought I was being set up.
Right.
Because like it was just perfect. I think I had no papers, no license, the plates non-existent. And then after we got the money and we drove around like for a while, like no one pulled us over or anything, like whoop whoop, internal affairs, what are you doing? It was like, yeah, I can do this. Like I can do that.
Yeah.
And that was on the back, and I always forget to tell this story. That was on the back of an incident with me and 2 other police officers. So I'll just make the short of it. I make a car stop. Some guy blows a stop sign. I pull him over. I'm up on Jamaica Avenue by Highland Park in the borderline between Brooklyn and Queens. And I got this car stopped, and all of a sudden I look behind me, there's fucking flashing blue, red lights from a fucking New York City police car. And I'm going, this must be so-and-so coming to join us, like, check on us.
Yeah, back up.
Yeah, back
for no
up.
reason, but still back up.
But whatever, that's cool. What are you doing? I'm like, excuse me?
Right, my job.
McGregor, whatever the fuck his name was. I go, what are you, Terry McGregor was the guy's name. The other guy ended up losing his job. Anyway, he goes, what are you doing? What do you mean, what am I doing? Like, why are you asking me what am I doing? He goes, I go, we made a car stop. He goes, in my sector? So I go, well, so I knew that was a little touchy thing, and I'm like, well, we pulled him over here, but we followed him from my sector. Let's say, we followed him 3 blocks and pulled him over. This is the best place we could pull the guy over. Yeah, well, don't be making any car stops in our sector. I said, all right. He goes, and make sure you stay away from our bodegas and our fucking spots.
Right. I mean, obviously that's something's odd about that. Territorial, when all of it falls within the precinct.
Yeah, it's in the precinct. I can drive by here all day long, but he don't want me doing anything in his sector.
Right. So he's charging? He's charging protection money to people. You're not positive, but something's ain't right.
Something's not right. So later we talked about it. My partner and I at the time, Sal, was a different partner than Kenny, and I said something like, I get that you don't want me eating at some of your spots because you could eat if you're eating on the arm, you don't want to hurt the other guy coming in saying, listen, I can't give 15 guys free meals in a day. Right. So that I'm aware of, but to make a car stop, like, is there something, am I missing something here? So like the next day or two, I see this car, I pull it over, and I said, maybe this is what it's about. I gave it a shot, I got paid. And it was a different approach. From that day forward, it was I was on about 2 years. From that day forward, it was just a different approach. I'm going to get mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to get whatever it is. If it's an extra sweater, if it's a fucking Nike hat, whatever the fuck it is, I'm going to get something for me out of this, because it appears that there's more to this than just driving to work and keeping the peace and going home and getting a paycheck.
But you're still conducting police business. It's just that if something comes across, if you're not out at that point, I know later, but at that point, it seemed to me like you weren't seeking it out. Like if
you're fell in my lap,
you're an opportunist. If I come in on a bust and this and that,
right,
and there's a stack sitting here and nobody's paying attention.
That's the next thing that ends up happening.
Right.
I ended up on the homicide scene with this guy Sal, and we were still, and so I go into this homicide. We first response. I can't even open the door because the body's blocking the door. You know, the guy was hitting the head and he was fucking laying by I can't even open the door. Finally, I open the door. I get inside, and I see it's a marijuana. Back then they had tray bag stores. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Brooklyn's setup, but like it was a bunch of dummy candy stores, and they were all selling nickel bags. Like today they're starting to sell pot everywhere, whatever. They've already got the setup, 40 years ago in Brooklyn. They had these paper plates in the window with candy signs, whatever. It was a fucking dope spot for marijuana. Pushed the door open. We had to move the body. The guy was basically dead on the floor, and they was blocking the door. The guy got shot in his spot, so the door was held closed by the body. We couldn't get inside. So eventually we push our way in. And so it's a funny scene. It's a scene of where inside there's well, funny. So yeah, it was funny.
What's so funny is I have a sick sense of humor. Like to me, that is funny. But people are like,
take it in because the guy's blocking.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, he's blocking the door. Can you get up? So anyway, in there's bags of marijuana, clearly a huge amount of marijuana, like pounds, and. Come to find out later on, there was over 4 or 5 pounds, which is quite, it's a substantial amount, you know, and it looks large, a pound of marijuana is fucking a lot,
Yeah.
And so anyway, so he has this, and he's got his nickel tray bags set up, and he's got cash, and lots of cash. So I'm like, well, this is, I'm excited. And then out comes this guy from nowhere. And he's, oh my God, he starts blowing on his friends, giving him CPR, mouth to mouth, the guy's dead. And, and then, so the odd thing is I'm trying to put this together, like, what's going on here? Because you don't want to stop someone from giving someone CPR. What the fuck? Let him do it.
Right.
And then he looks at his hands and he starts wiping the blood off his fucking hands, right? I mean, to me, that disturbed me. Like, this is your friend who's dead. It's your best friend in the world, and you're worried about the blood on your hands. Whatever. So then I see the money and the marijuana and this. And so long story short, I see a sliver of a stack of hundreds. It's not a lot. I think the number was 600. So I put a little 600 in my pocket. And now we have to call for the emergency service, the search teams, all this fucking, the sergeants, the EMS, everybody to show up. We got a real shooting. We got a possible DOA on the scene. Send an ambulance, send the sergeant, send the morgue, Anyway, so we set it all up, and in comes the sergeant about 5-10 minutes into it, and he says, so we got these bags of marijuana, we got a stack of cash. I don't know how much cash was there at the time. And he turns around, he looks at me, he says, so is that it?
Right. So
I look at him and I go, well, I take the fucking 600 out of my pocket and I go, you can't fucking see it. I go here, this. He goes, is that it? And I go, that's it. He goes, I didn't want it to get all lost. I didn't know what to say. Like, I gave you a stack of fucking 20s, but I got a sliver of hundreds in my pocket. I didn't want it to get lost. Anyway, so someone else takes the perp. Oh, I think the squad showed up. I don't remember who showed up, but I didn't process the arrest.
Right.
Because it was a homicide. Usually the homicide detectives take over right away, and they were there quick enough, so they took over the case. So the homicide detective says to me, "What do you think?" I said, "He did it." The guy with the hands.
Yeah.
And he asks me, "Why you say that?" I said, because just the way he acted. I said, plus he wasn't there. He came running out of somewhere. We did a little quick search. We saw handprints all up the fucking upstairs and back. There's handprints going upstairs. I didn't see him go upstairs, and with the handprints of blood.
Yeah, and
so
I'm
CSI now.
Yeah, and he made such a scene about wiping off the blood and making sure he touches the guy to get blood. That's why there's blood on my hands because I touched him. Exactly.
He made a big scene.
Right.
So from that, I said he did it. And one of the statements the kid made was funny story. He says, I told him to stop fucking with those women. What do you care if he's... Well, what he meant was stop fucking with my woman.
Oh, okay.
As it turned out. So the squad has this two or three pieces of information with them. They turned the guy in 5 minutes against himself. I didn't mean it. Because they told him he was alive. He's
Right.
alive and he's talking. He's like, oh shit! They locked the guy's obviously dead. He's got his brains all over the place.
Right.
Anyway, so at that scene when I put the 600 in and I gave it back. So that night we went out for choir practice, drinking with the boys, and the sergeant happened to come with us. We're out in Huntington on Route 110. I think the place was, I can't remember that. I think it's like Farrell's. It wasn't Farrell's, but something like that. It was a common name, one of those Irish bars. Fulton Street Pub. If anyone knows Huntington, Long Island, it's Fulton Street Pub. And I like to throw that because a lot of people love that, And so I was at Fulton Street Pub. It was 1:30 in the morning, and I go over to Sergeant. I said, Sarge, which is odd because the sergeants usually don't go out with the fellas, because they're bosses, Let the boys do their thing. I said, listen, I said, what do you think? I gave you the hundreds, a couple hundreds. He goes, if you get there before me, it's all yours. He says, if I show up, I can't condone you fucking taking it.
Right.
He says, because I don't want the problem. I'm a boss. He says, but you show up at a fucking murder scene and there's cash flying. Like the NYPD does not murder people.
Right.
To set you up.
Yeah.
They're just not going to go that far. Yeah. They'll do a lot of things, but they're not going to kill people to set you up. So he says, if you get there and you see a body and you see stacks of cash or whatever, it's yours. But make sure I get mine. He says to me, because if I find out later on that you clipped 25, 30 grand and I got nothing, he says, I'm going to be pissed. I said, so for effect, later on I thought about it. I'm like, he just gave me a fucking license to do whatever the fuck I want. And now I'm like at 23 years old or something like that, and I'm saying, I can fucking do anything I want out here. Especially since the witnesses are mostly dead or running from the scene. If
it's their word against yours anyway.
And I'm a cop.
And honestly, like when we talk about the drug dealer stuff, like the other guy's like, what are they going to say? They're drug dealers. Hey, I lost 10 keys and $50,000 in cash.
Right.
Who's going to say that?
You're going to walk to the precinct. Excuse me, detective or investigator. Yeah. One of your police officers robbed me for 35 kilos and $1 million in cash. Okay, good. Sit down. Have a seat. just not what happens. But more and more it happens today. Believe it or not. It wasn't back then, though.
Your sergeant that you said it's funny because like I actually had a owner of a bank tell me basically it was almost the same, a similar type. I mean, he had caught us, and then sold the loan. Caught us, said, "Hey, we caught you." And I said, "I don't know nothing about it." And he said, and then he sold the loans, knowing they were all fraudulent loans, bad loans, selling them, knew it because he thought they might perform. And then later he came down and we were talking. He had a couple drinks in him. We were talking about fraud, and he said, "Listen, man, I don't care about fraud." He goes, "Nobody in the industry cares about fraud." He said, if it goes through us and we can get rid of it, he said, I could care less. He goes, I just don't want to get stuck with it. And to me, that was just like, so he was basically saying nobody's calling the FBI. Like the worst that happens is we blacklist you and you can't do any loans with us. And it was just like, to me, I was like, oh my God. And then, I mean, after that, it was like, turned it, I just punched it. Then
overdrive.
Absolutely.
Put it in overdrive. So that moment is a defining moment for me because I became less cautious about scenes. I actively looked for scenes, but I wouldn't roused up a scene to make it happen. So then I'd rush to a homicide. I mean, no one really wants to be on a homicide because then you got to stay with it and do all the dirty work, right? But if you rush to a homicide scene, see, people die for a couple of reasons, usually because of a bad relationship issue, money or drugs. And in the ghetto, it's usually money and drugs because everybody's got a bad relationship. Babies, daddies, mamas. Thanksgiving is a tough day because they all get 6 babies, daddies show up for 9 babies, mamas. It gets confusing. It really does. But I'll tell you one funny story. I had a park foot post one day because I was on punishment post. I used to get punishment posts because they didn't want to have to keep an eye on me, so it was easy to put me on a foot post. Because you only have like a block square area, but if in the car you can go fucking 40 miles from one direction to the other. And when I was under a lot of investigation, they'd put me on a foot post. And so one of the young girls comes up to me, young kid, like 8, 9 years, cute kid, beautiful little child, says to me something about Thanksgiving or Christmas, and she says, "Well, I have 5 stepdaddies, And I said, oh, I felt bad for the child. You know, you got
Right.
5 stepdaddies. I got 7 brothers and sisters and 5 stepdaddies. I said, oh, that's, you know, she goes, it's great because Christmas, each one of the stepdaddies buys us a gift.
Right.
So that's guaranteed 5 or 6 gifts there. And then your own daddy, he really gives you lots of gifts. So I mean, like, there was a
Silver lining.
there was a silver lining to everything, you know. So like
They do stab each other every once in a while.
That's usually because mom is not, you know,
yeah.
putting she's not holding up her end of the bargain, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, so I mean, what an education for a guy who grew up, you know, his dad was a fireman and he came home, you know, once every 3 days with smelling like smoke, you know, and hockey player, baseballs, loved athletic, you know.
Yeah.
Long Island kids going to play sports, and you're out in the ghetto now, like putting out fires every day. Like, what the fuck? I don't, not fires, but you know, putting fires, personal fires out every day, putting your finger in the dike of the dam. And the crack era was just insane. It was insane.
Well, and there wasn't a big budget for police, for law enforcement at the time. It was, I mean, it was just a.
So you hit a point there, the budget. So part of the reason why things get the way they do, you can actually harken back to today, what's going on in today's environment. Like, it's dangerous today in a lot of these major cities because of the, you say budget, whatever, the defund the police story. But back then, we had budget crunches because the volume of arrests was insane. Like, so, like, people don't get this. Like, there's 1 million arrests in New York City every year.
Just make sure you're clear. You're leading.
Yeah,
You're
there's 1 million arrests in New York City every year.
That's insane.
That's what it was, let's say. And so 250,000 were arrested in Brooklyn, maybe more. It's a lot of process, right? We talked about process before. There's always a process, right? Yeah. So processing an arrest is a guaranteed 17 hours overtime, maybe more.
Right.
So you're paying somebody to process an arrest for 17 hours overtime. Then you're having to pay for legal aid for the perpetrator, court costs, bailiff cost. What you can go down the list on what it costs just to process an arrest without the overtime. So the city began to sort of discourage arrests for drugs. Now, perfect storm, right? Because if you're telling a police officer, don't make an arrest for drugs because it's not going to go well for you. Why? We're going to put you on foot posts. We're going to put you in less desirable assignments because you're killing us with the overtime costs. So some guys didn't give a damn. They'd make an arrest in the station house, like, and that happens, by the way, every day. You know, people walk in, ask a question, guy runs the name. Oh, good. You're under arrest. And the guy, like, we took you off patrol so you wouldn't make overtime. He goes, too bad, I got an arrest right now, and you can't stop me.
Right.
See, they can't stop you from making a lawful arrest, right?
Right.
What's the supervisor going to say? Unarrest that person.
Yeah. Let him go.
Yeah, you can't. You know, but today I think you can, for Christ's sake, because it seems that way, which is another story, right? So think about that. 250,000 arrests. Everyone is 17 hours overtime. Let's just, for argument's sake, and the numbers just are astronomical.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
So they discourage it. So now you're telling me, here's what you make me. You make me the armed security force for the drug dealers.
Right. You're just trying to get people to stop shooting each other at this point. So I'm not arresting. I'm just trying to get you guys to stop killing us, stop killing each other.
Right. So it's the profile. So you have a higher visibility. Because if I make an arrest, I'm taking a patrol car and my partner pretty much off the street unless there's somebody else to jump in with him. Because we don't do solo patrols in Brooklyn. You're not allowed. It's dangerous. So I'm taking you off the street and me off the street and I'm processing an arrest. So that car's down for the day. So it really, the numbers wise, it doesn't pay to make the arrest. So we become the armed security force for the drug dealers. I mean, when it's January 17th and it's 18 below zero with the windshield and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and there's 4 guys on the corner on Pitkin Avenue and Pine, what the fuck do you think they're doing?
Right.
I mean, can anybody out here tell me what do you think they're doing? I mean, they're selling fucking something. You know, they got the Eskimo,
So they get to go about their business while you hang out and make sure nobody drives by and shoots at them because they're on their corner.
Correct. Yeah, so you could fill in the fucking dots from there. And that's what happened was the public began to be outraged that we were not making arrests. But they're not announcing to the public we're discouraging arrests. And this is a fact. These are all facts as I lived it. We're discouraging drug arrests because blah, 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 we're saving money. In the meantime, it's like
it's making your neighborhood horrible to live in.
The broken window theory. Fix the window in the house so it looks better and people won't try to break in, steal, and burn it down, right? So that was the Giuliani theory. Fix the broken window, get the squeegee guy from off your windshield, because once he's off your windshield, he has to be someplace else. You're not intimidated and you go forward and have a better day. So that's the approach they had back then, and we were the epicenter of the police are always the conflict, no matter what. No matter if you do it, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So there was a long line of what you're seeing today happened back then, but in a different way, because back then we could still beat the fuck out of you.
Right.
Straight up. Back then you could still.
But now there's too many cameras everywhere.
Back then you could still give a good beating, and everybody went home.
It's funny.
And everybody went home. Them and us.
The Rodney King thing. I remember all these guys were like.
I got arrested after the Rodney 3 days after the Rodney King riots.
Everybody, when that came out, I remember guys were saying, well, that's an isolated event. I was like, yeah, it was. The isolated event was that there was a guy there with a camera. It happens all the time. It was just isolated. There was a guy with a camera.
Right.
But
and yes, and that's true.
And
to defend police officers, that's not all they do. Okay?
No.
And it's usually, let's just say, earned. It's usually earned.
Oh yeah.
It's usually earned. And I'm not saying they deserve that, but it's usually earned.
You know what's funny? It's like guys talk to me about prison. They're like, well, there are a lot of stabbings and people. Were you scared? Where it was like, whoa. I'm like, you understand? If you get stabbed in prison or beaten up in prison, you had it coming.
It's a good fucking.
And it doesn't sound good, but you did something.
Really?
Like they're not randomly running up and smashing dudes. Right. You owed money.
Right.
They told you to pay it. Right. Then you said fuck you. Yeah. Then they told you check in so you can get yourself shipped.
Right.
You said I'm not going to. Right. They went to the shot caller, explained to the shot caller. Finally, the shot caller talked to you. You then told him I'm not paying. Then the shot caller said beat his ass.
Right.
And you got your ass beat or you get stabbed. I mean, you had a chance.
Usually, yeah. Punks, money, drugs.
Absolutely. One of the worst beatings I saw was over a punk.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to say punk out here. Like the first time I said it, like everybody I was like, I mean, a gay guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, now it's even worse.
Yeah.
I just called. I just said I called a punk or a gay guy a punk.
Yeah. Right.
But then that's prison lingo.
Yeah. Right.
So
yeah.
But okay. So back to what I was going to say is, I mean, at some point, the guy Cello came to you.
Oh yeah, I forgot his name. The last interview I did, I forgot the fucking guy's name, and the guy interviewing me forgot his name. Well, it was
funny because too, like he was the low man on the totem pole. His boss, then his boss was actually a really good interview. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you got it confused. Yeah, you got it confused. Cello was the boss.
Oh, I thought Cello was the guy Cello was the guy in the Porsche.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So.
He was the boss? I thought he was under the other guy.
No, Cello was so Diaz.
Right.
Says Cello was a little nothing to him.
Right. That's what he says.
Because Diaz, he started at 200-300 kilos a week.
Right.
Cello might do 50 kilos a week, but he was selling grams, half grams, fucking dime bag, whatever the fuck he was selling. You know? So he was selling retail. And Diaz sold wholesale.
Right.
So to him, he was a nobody. But Cello had his own organization from top to bottom. He was in charge of his own organization.
La Compagnia. Yeah.
La Compagnia. And, they had 28 murders, fucking La Compagnia. And Cello was responsible in some way or another for the hits that they ordered.
Right.
So, yeah. So they were two. Let's say there were two equals this way, but Diaz, sold $1 million in tonnage. This guy sold $1 million in half grams.
Right.
So that's the thing. But Cello put a hit on me because I put pressure on his shop. I put pressure on his store because he didn't pay me the $700. He's supposed to pay me $8,000. He shorted me $700.
Why would he do that? Did you ever find out, like, was he just trying you right out of the gate? He just tried you?
I wasn't sure. So that's why I was pissed, like, why would you do that, So I think what it is, and I think that somebody.
But he came up with the exact amount that he was short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, he knew. It's not like somebody miscounted.
Well,
Go ahead.
I think that he didn't do it.
Okay. So there was an intermediary.
Yeah, I think that a guy. See, when they pay you in drug money, it comes in thousands.
Right.
So 1,000 bundles, right? And if it's 20s, it's 50 20s is $1,000, right? Yeah, right. So instead of there's 45, and it was like we're counting out. It's like, are they doing this on purpose?
Right.
So someone's taking $100 out of each bundle. That's what I got from it. So by telling them that they were short 700, I thought he would be pissed at his people, not pissed at me. Why would I tell you you're short $700?
Right.
I mean, that's penny. That's picayune. I'm telling you you're short 700 because one, if it's your people that are robbing it, straighten them out, and two, make it right.
All right. So to clarify, you had gone to them and said, "Look, it's 8,000. Give me 8,000 a week, and I'm going to give you the heads up on any investigations,
Correct.
on anything that's coming down,
Right.
any raids,
Right.
anything into you."
Right.
He then pays you the money. Short somehow or another, you get shorted,
Right.
and then you don't say anything. It's not like you can complain. What you did was you went and you basically parked your police car in front of.
No, so I went to Barron, the head of the Auto Sound City shop,
you
the guy
told
who's
him.
in black in the thing, and
Yeah.
who set this whole meeting up. I said, Barron, we're short 700. He goes, yeah, I know. I said, well, tell him we're short 700, make it right.
Right.
I didn't think much of it. And then after about a week, he comes back and tells them, go fuck yourselves. We're not paying you. We're done, and I'm not paying you. I said, oh, that's not the way this is going to go.
Right.
So I started putting pressure on his store. I had myself and my partner would park in front of his store. Like just sit there, all fucking chase cars that pulled up, and just made it clear that you're not going to
This could go bad for you.
You're not going to do this, right? So, and then I even went one step further, and I paid another crew of cops $1,000 just to sit on his store when I wasn't working. So he had like 24 hours a day almost coverage on his store. I mean, up till midnight, So all day up until midnight, he couldn't sell a fucking gram of coke because no one would go to the store because the cops were there. They didn't want to get caught moving out with the drugs on him. Anyway, so he sends a message over to Barron. I put a hit on him. So I get my 911 page. Barron doesn't page me 911. 911 page goes off, and I end up going in to see Barron. He goes, "They put a hit on you." I said, "Okay." And the funny thing is that I heard, which I think was accurate, that the precinct knew about it and told me nothing. By the way, they knew about it and didn't fucking say anything.
They were, at that point, they were already.
They were like,
they
good.
were already like,
they were like, good, kill this motherfucker. So they didn't know what to do. But I heard that they knew. So they had informants in the fucking La Compania. And if you remember them in that van, in the movie scene, in the van, Joe Wall, they're running back to the precinct. Well, in that van was one of the company's informants telling them who's who.
Okay, that's when they ran from him. When they came out, they start shooting at him and they take off.
Correct. So to my point,
but it made it sound like there was only a couple guys there. They didn't mention that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. But to my point was that so the precinct and the DEA, they work together.
Yeah.
Had informants in La Compania, and they knew that they put a hit on me because the informants told them they put a hit on this cop. Yeah. So now when I get the word, and it's funny because my recollection gets a little foggy here, and I was called to task on some common. I did a Artie Lang podcast with Kenny came on I did an Artie Lang podcast, and then Kenny fucking cried and begged, I want to do what I want to do. So Artie Lang said, all right, I'll put you on. He says, Mike, can you join us in the middle of the fucking podcast? And I don't want to do it because I don't want to give Kenny any fucking credibility. But for Artie Lang's sake, I said, I'll jump on. And we argued back and forth about he says, and you didn't do. He says, I don't remember any of this $700, and you confronting them and this Mexican standoff in the fucking street. I said, really? I said, you weren't there because it happened. I got the 700. He said, well, I didn't get my half. I said, well, if you didn't get your half, it's because you didn't do anything. I said, what'd you do for it? I ended up fucking chasing the guy down, getting the death threat put on me, pulling him over. I mean, I wouldn't short Kenny $350, so I don't know that I didn't give it to him, but I'll take his word for it that I didn't. But then he wasn't there because I think I was working with the internal affairs chick, Lisa Breland. She was like there to set me up, but she didn't. She just couldn't do it. She wasn't trying really hard. But so anyway, so after the threat was made, I found the guy that day. On the first fucking day that he put a hit on me. I never met the guy in my life. I just know he paid us. But I knew the description of his car. So I went up on Fulton Street and by Norwood, under the L, and sure enough, there's a fucking car. I pulled him over, and I license, registration, insurance card. He turned as white as his shirt. No, that's not accurate. He's like, oh, okay, officer, I get your license, registration, insurance card. And he goes like this, and I take the license, registration, I throw it right back, bang, right, because he was down below me. So I throw it right back in his fucking lap. I go, you fucking put a hit on me, motherfucker. He's like, oh. Now he's like, fucking, now he doesn't know what to do. I just was, it's funny because, like, you're so, like, you're in it, right?
Yeah.
So I go, I was praying he had a fucking gun on him. I was just, like, when he opened the glove box to get the, let the gun.
Look for an excuse.
Let the gun fall out, you know? I mean, because at this point, you put a fucking hit on me. I mean, I got to win. I can't lose, otherwise it's over, right? So.
Well, and these guys are killing people.
Yeah,
I mean, there's murders all the time.
That's what they do, and that's what they do. So I might as well just, you know, if you got a gun on you, I can kill you, and then, you know, we just make a little 95 tag, put it on your toe, and say goodbye. I mean, that's how
right.
That's what you have to. That's what you become. You know, you become it now. You know, it's no longer like you're there for you,
right,
to survive.
No, I was when they did the commission, and they were questioning you during the commission. The one commissioner asks, you know, were you by this point? So when you start protecting that organization, she says, did you feel like you were a police officer, or were you a drug trafficker?
Right.
And you were kind of like,
I didn't know what to say.
I don't know.
I look at my lawyer. I go, what do I tell him? Tell him the truth. I said, both. Yeah. How does that work? I don't know, but it felt like both. And it was like, that's like, everyone like, holy fuck. Imagine hearing that.
People don't, look, they don't get they don't understand the mindset of continually getting away with committing crime, what it does to you. Yeah. Like mentally, right. You just look, when you go to work and you drive a truck and you deliver Coca-Cola every day, and you're going through the same routine, and you're underneath the umbrella of the law,
right, and
you're following all the rules, you don't understand what it's like to work or to behave outside of that and get away with things consistently. I mean, most people, they drive a little bit over the speed limit, boom, they get caught. They're like, I can't believe this, but when you are existing outside of that and you continually get away with it forever, and then when you do get caught periodically, you get out of it over and over again. Right. You get this. The rules just don't apply to you.
Yeah, the gray line.
That's what you start believing in.
It was a gray line. You started out here, right, and the gray line just kept getting further and further away. So, I would start like most people start their day. Tie their shoes and go to work and drive down the fucking highway, stop at the light.
Right.
I mean, I started my day over here. So, stopping at the red light was way over here. Like, that wasn't even an option. When normal people start here, and when you start here, and this is normal, you can't, that's harder to do. It's harder to do normal than, because you're already over here, and it's insane. We can rationalize and justify anything, but that's how it is.
Yeah. No, it's and this is a horrible example. It's like when I'm driving on legitimate driver's licenses and other people's names. Some homeless guy I interviewed in Idaho, right, and I've got a driver's license and I'm driving. The rules don't apply.
Right.
So are you scared of getting pulled over? No. The car's in his name, the registration, the insurance, and if I get it, I'll get 3 tickets in his name and run up all the points, go to traffic schools. It doesn't apply. It doesn't matter to me. I have tons of money to pay for the extra insurance. I'm driving 95 miles an hour in a 50. Right. Because it just doesn't apply. And if I get pulled over, I'll pay the ticket. The cop would come to the window and be like, do you know how fast I was going? And I was like, it depends on how far long you've been behind me.
Yeah, when did you stop?
And I'd start laughing, and they'd just look at you, and they'd go, well, why were you going so fast? And I'd go, stupidity?
Yeah.
And he would look at it and he goes, never heard that one before. And they'd go, well, all right, I'll be back. They don't know what to do, because everything I have, you're not going to go check at the car and find a warrant.
Right.
I got that covered.
Right.
So it's just insane.
Right.
Your thought, and you don't realize until you're sitting in that jail cell. And I started looking at myself going, I was a fucking maniac, bro. What am I thinking? person.
Yeah.
Like how did people start telling me things I did and said and behaved like, and I was like, I know you're right. Like, and I'm like, now I look at it and I think, how was I not terrified?
Right. Yeah. I'm driving home from work in my Corvette, going 140 miles an hour down Robert Moses, not the Causeway, Jones Beach Parkway, and I got a half a kilo in the back of the vet, and I don't even have my badge anymore because now I'm on modified assignment. I've got myself to where I'm on modified assignment, which means that I've gone to the farm. And if
you're almost not a cop.
I'm almost not a cop anymore, but I'm still going 140 down the Jones Beach Causeway because no traffic, and the police vehicle that I've passed, it's plainclothes, so he's got to be a detective, and detectives don't chase speeders. But turns out this guy's in the New York State Escaped Fugitives program, and he just happens to be driving along Jones Beach State Parkway the day I'm blowing by in my fucking 140 mile an hour in my red Corvette with a white convertible top.
Not noticeable at all.
No, you can't. You won't see this.
Practically blends in.
Yeah, the one that I parked in the lieutenant's spot, because he pissed me off because he thought he can bang my girlfriend, and that wasn't going to happen. The biggest cock, big red fucking Corvette in the lieutenant's spot. So it's just it never ends. Like put a flag on your back and call yourself asshole, idiot, or king, whatever either way, someone's coming for you.
Right.
The bright red light shining all the time.
Well, look. At some point, at some point, you guys started you were full time, basically giving these guys, the drug dealers, you're giving them escorts.
Right.
You're like that one time when they were about to raid the guy's fucking the grocery store where they're selling kilos out of the back. That
made me worth my weight in gold.
Oh, I'm sure.
if Diaz said Mike was worth his weight in gold.
so the cops are about to raid this grocery store where they're selling keys out of the back of the grocery store, and you go.
You can get Pampers. You can get Pampers and sugar.
So he finds out about it, whips around, comes in, goes into the store to get a couple of beers, goes up to the counter, and you tell Diaz, right?
No.
Was that just some worker, cashier? When you say that in the thing, I was wondering, like Diaz is running the cash register?
No, this is just his cash register worker.
You just lean in and say, Cut it.
And he looks at me and I go, shut it, because I didn't know if he knew what this meant. Or if he knew that I was the mark, because I never met these people.
Right. Well,
So
do you even know? Do you even know that he knows what's really happening in the back, or he knows?
Oh, he knows. Yeah.
Okay.
He got to know.
There's no way. Okay.
The guys are walking with bags of money and shit, and he might tell him, go to the back, if someone's new or unaware of what to do, They're coming in with, back then it was shoe boxes filled with money. That's when you're buying a kilo or two, you're coming in with stacks of thousands like this, so. And I'd be like, I can't believe these guys are standing in front of the store with boxes. Like, they're standing in front of the store with boxes, shoe boxes. I mean, am I that stupid?
They must.
You got brand new Nike size 12, and this is a size 8. Let me see.
They must also feel invincible, though. I mean, I've written in stories where the drug dealers were paying FBI agents to, and so he was like, I was bulletproof.
Yeah.
I felt untouchable. He's
Right.
like, I'm paying an FBI agent.
Yep.
He said he's calling me. He's like, if I meet somebody, I call him up and say, hey, this is the guy's name, run him. He comes back like an hour later and says, he was arrested 2 weeks ago. He's currently this. Don't work with
operating.
him. Or they go, he's good.
Yeah.
Never heard of that guy.
Right.
And so they feel not just that, they would have guys get arrested, call the FBI, and the FBI, he's like, and like 2 hours later, the cops come to him and say, okay, we're releasing you.
Yeah.
They just call up and say, look, he's a CI.
Let him
I'm working with him.
Right.
Let him go right now.
Yeah.
He's like, I've been walked right out.
It happens all the time.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I can imagine they felt invincible, but so walking around with being pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Probably not that big of a deal to them. At that point, they think, well, we got Mike.
Yeah. Well, but I was like the one who told him, listen, you got to tamp that shit down because it's it's over the top. You know, I'm trying to see, because what I'm trying to do is to keep them from getting on the radar for narcotics.
Right.
Because if they're on narcotics radar, I don't work for narcotics. I'm a patrolman, right? So I'm trying to keep them off the radar for narcotics. I make a phone call to narcotics on its competition, and the guy on narcotics says, "Oh, you mean 522 New Jersey on the corner of Vermont and New Lots?" I go, "No, it's 521 across the street."
Right. But now
he goes, oh, we're not aware of that one. I go, yeah, well, that's the one. That's the one that's really doing bad stuff right now. I'm going to tell the guy, this is my guy's store. He just gave me the address to. He says, we're in that. We got that. We're on that one. I'm like, I can't believe, because my guy Adam complained to me. He says, the guy across the street's lowering his prices. So, I mean, I sent cops in there, on duty, off duty. We shook the place down, on duty, off duty. We threatened this guy to shut him down, right? And then we'd sit in front of his store and chase people. So he had no business going on for about a week. Meanwhile, we go around the block over on Blake and Dumont Avenue and right by Vermont. And there's this fucking Jeep Wrangler sitting there with two guys with beards, you know? So I go, hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, yeah, we're doing a stakeout around the block. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know where, because there's 6 spots around the block, but I know one is mine.
Right.
So I go around the block, and I walked in the store, and I fucking picked up 2 Heinekens. They opened up I don't know if they opened them. They probably did. Opened up the Heinekens, put them in a brown paper bag, walked out, shut it down. Now. Walked out the store, got in the car, called the beeper. It was a beeper thing I had to call.
Yeah.
Got no answer. Like I ain't got time for this, but this is not good. I just saw on the cover around the block. I don't know when this is going down. They didn't give me the inside scoop on this. So that's why I went in, by the way. So I told it reverse. So I hit the pager. I waited like 30 seconds. They didn't call the payphone back. I said, I can't do this. Went inside, shut them down, left. About a half an hour later, we circled back, and they got the fucking lights, dogs, a team of 40 fucking guys going in and out of the place. So,
but they didn't find anything.
They found nothing. Yeah, they couldn't even find salt in the place. So I laugh, but it's you laugh. I really shouldn't.
I mean,
I shouldn't laugh, but it is
what it is. You know what I'm saying? I hate when I do podcasts and then guys come back and they he's not even sorry.
Yeah, right.
He's bragging.
Right.
Well, you didn't see me come on the podcast to cry.
Right.
And apologize.
Right. I'm not here for that. I'm here to tell you the story, tell you how it was. I didn't cry that day. No one got hurt.
Right.
No one got hurt, which was the key thing, which I always had said to Diaz, is if somebody gets hurt, if a cop gets hurt, I don't mean like you've tripped and broke a fucking leg.
Right.
If a cop gets injured doing one of your fucking operations or shot at, or injured severely, I said, I'll turn myself in. I said, because I'm not going to live with that on my conscience.
Right.
And if you spoke to Diaz, or if you saw him in the he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he'll kill people if he has to.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't get me wrong.
Well, listen, the nicest guys I've met that are the nicest murderers I've met, and they're just super nice.
Johnny A. Larry Mazza. Right. I had dinner with Larry yesterday. I know Johnny. I mean, I've been out with Johnny a dozen times. And I mean, those guys. Between the two of them, they killed 40, 50 people. But they're the nicest guys you ever want to meet in your life.
I was going to tell you, the police officer that, did he take his baton or a plunger or something?
Yeah. I just read Volpe.
Huh? Yeah.
Volpe.
Yeah. He was in Coleman.
Yeah. Was he in Coleman? Because it was in Minnesota, wasn't he?
No, he was in Coleman for a couple of years. Okay. I'm sure he'd been many places. Yeah. So there was a police officer who had arrested some guy, guy's mouthing off, and
they knew this guy. He was a pain in the prick.
Yeah, and
he was a setup. This guy was a setup. He was constantly baiting the police.
Right, and so he's mouthing off. He's this. I forget. Do you remember what Volpe's first name is? Anyway, fucking cop gets frustrated. Basically, takes his fucking baton in the police department. Right, in the
bathroom. In the bathroom.
Right in the guy's ass. Now I had met. Yeah, you like that? I don't think it went that smooth, but But God, this is horrible. See, this is, and so anyway,
He perforated the guy.
Yeah. So there was a definitely, he didn't light candles. There was no soft music. Anyway, so it was a bad situation, right? So he ends up, of course, he gets mad. He's fired. They bring up charges, everything. He goes
30 years.
They gave him 30. He pled guilty in the middle of the trial. He's like, I just pled guilty. Like, it was obvious I was going to get. It was just going so wrong.
Right.
And when we were talking at Coleman,
that's how he was going to get 35.
right? He ends up, he pleads guilty.
Is that how he got
in the
that?
middle of the trial? He pled guilty.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, he said it was so over the top bad that he said listening to it, I just
right. Oh yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah.
You
hate yourself when you listen to what they say.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he's
my
like,
God, I'm so bad.
this is so going so wrong. He's like, I could look at the jury and I could tell it's over.
It's over. Yeah.
And of course, this is the thing. Like, the jury doesn't know what you're facing.
Right.
So the jury's like, did he do it? Yeah, he did. Do you believe he did it? Yes, I believe it. Okay, they go home and they think he's probably going to get probation, or he's probably going to get 5 or 10 years.
He's going to get 20 years. Going to do 8.
Yeah, that's what they think, and then boom, you get 30, you get 35 or 40 years, and they go, what? Now, granted, what he did was fucked up, but still, you typically don't give a rapist that kind of sentence.
Right.
So the point is that he ended up in prison. Nicest guy.
Justin,
thank you.
Yes.
And when we talked one time, I remember I looked at him and I go, bro, I mean, honestly, what the fuck? He's like, I don't know. He's like, you have to understand.
You have to be there. You have to be there.
You just feel invincible, and this was what I was doing, and this
steroids
and this, and he's telling me all
out. Yeah.
And I'm just going, I go, still, and he's like, come on, what are you doing? I said, no, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I mean, we're two guys in the library laughing.
Yeah. And it's not laughable. What he did is not laughable, but it's comical for some to actually. You mean you shoved your fucking broomstick up someone's ass?
Fucking ass. I mean, what the fuck were you thinking?
Where did it even come?
How did that come
from?
He told me. You know the PSI, right? Your pre-sentence report.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He said the PSI, he said when you get in trouble,
the guy got $7 million and he lived. Just so you know.
Oh yeah. There's no death or anything.
I mean, which is it's horrific too.
There's no way to justify it. Whatever. It is what it is.
Right.
You deal with it. So the point is when he's doing his PSI, which means the probation officer comes and they interview you for a pre-sentence report that goes to the judge. So the judge can try and determine what your sentence should be. And there's a whole and try and is there any mitigating circumstances, to give you the high end of the guidelines or even the low end, And so they come to him, and so while he's being interviewed, he told me, while he was being interviewed by the probation
female
officer.
Probation officer.
Well, the probation, I think it was a male probation. He said while he's
Lucky for him.
The guy starts asking him, like, is there any anything in your past, like any abuse, anything? And he said he's looking at him, and Justin goes, no. There were no funny pony rides in my childhood, if that's what you're asking.
Jesus
and Christ. I mean, it's like funny pony rides, and he said, I know. My dad fucking was there. My dad was like, funny pony rides.
That's like even strange. He's like, dude, are you okay?
What are you funny pony rides? So he's like, God, I don't know. It was, listen, obviously the conversations in prison are not like the conversations you have with your buddy that works at Walmart. I mean, clearly you're dealing with a different.
Everybody's done something or heard of something. Yeah. So he was a little off. Nice guy though.
But
I heard.
Seemed like a nice guy. Of course, I had never been arrested by
and I've never thought of a pony ride, but now when I think of pony,
that'll definitely come up.
Him, but
I can't see a miniature pony now.
So I was the face of corruption.
Oh, yeah.
All right, in 92, I get arrested. So I get sentenced in 94. He perforates this guy in 97, right? So the city's just starting to heal.
You got lucky then.
Well, no, I never got lucky. The city, no. The city is just starting to heal from the trauma that I put it through. They changed the whole fucking patrol guide. They add a whole new division. Bureau. They call it bureau. It went from Internal Affairs Division to Internal Affairs Bureau, which means so what that means is they've now created another layer.
So it's over.
It's over. It's like, so you have the Detective Bureau and the Internal Affairs Bureau, because it used to be IAD, which was a division.
Right.
Now it's a bureau, so there's nothing above that except
right. Well, but bureau basically you kind of govern yourself. You self-govern, right? Okay.
Correct.
So before they were a division, they could be told back off.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Now they're their own bureau. Yeah. So anyway, so that I created. Thank you. And there's some chiefs that. I gave jobs because they were.
I'm sure that's how they look at it too. Probably everybody wants to thank you.
One of them I heard, because I hear stories throughout the years, and one of them says, "I finally got a Dowd case." Like, really? Like I got one.
Like a Charles Ponzi.
A Manson case. I got me a Manson.
Now you've got a whole thing named after you. It's like Ponzi. Like before Charles Ponzi, it was the Peter Paul scam. Now we renamed corruption after you.
Yeah, right. They got a Michael Dowd case.
Something.
Yeah, Internal Affairs. Now, I got me a Michael Dowd. Like, in other words, it's going to be a career maker. Right. Yeah. So, and that guy ended up getting arrested. the guy that publicly said it got arrested. He got arrested for taking money, or I shouldn't even say taking money. I think he got arrested for doing favors on summonses, like cutting people. Like, don't worry about it. We'll get rid of the summons. Like, how small is the fuck? You're really a big shot. You got a Dowd case. The smallest of cases that they got rid of you for, some shit like that. But
it's like, what's fun? Well, I was gonna say, look, sometimes some guys do insane shit probably their entire career and never have it come back on them. Some guys do something minor and get caught immediately. Because I was going to say, you went years and years and years doing, not that it's minor. Well, it is it's minor in comparison.
Well, in comparison,
a couple thousand here, 1,000 here, 500 here. But when you leapt to, hey, you give me $8,000 a month, I'm going to watch out for you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to give you the heads up. If I come across it, I'm going to this, I'm going to that, I'm going to escort your guys, I'm going to do this. So you have a whole litany of things that you're doing for this money.
Right.
That really just, like, that's actually what your partner, what was your partner's name? Kenny, when he was like, he went like within a month from taking like $100 to boom, we're making $8,000 a week doing this.
Yeah, it's $8,000 a week.
I mean, he went from being a normal cop and him slipping him like $100, and then like a month later, boom, okay, here's what we're doing now.
Yeah, we'll get $8,000.
What?
Yeah.
How did we just go from me getting $100, which I didn't even spend?
Yeah.
I like kept it in my locker to ate that, but
he was a cheap cocksucker. I mean, he was.
But he didn't say nothing.
He loved. Listen, so in hindsight, and even at the time, I recognized at the time that he could say no right now.
Oh yeah.
And then everything would be okay. Like
it's not like a Serpico situation. It's not like
I never put him in a situation where he had to do this.
Right.
Because I made a determination that I was going to be a police officer until I get arrested, or quit, or get injured and get 3/4 disability, which is what my goal was. And but what happened? My goal to get injured because that's your goal. If you get a
best case scenario, I twist my knee.
Bad knee,
slight limp.
Yeah, good. 3/4 disability for the rest of your life, tax free. So so that's the goal. So that was my goal, and I had it. It was at any minute I could have done it because I needed surgery on either knee because both meniscuses were torn from playing ice hockey. So I start out with a pension but the money was so good and I just liked it.
Yeah.
I just liked it. I liked going to work and just being important.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Absolutely.
I know, like, I never retired, right? I didn't get a chance. But when I talk to guys that are retired, like, they're like impotent.
Yeah, it sucks.
They're like, I'm not important anymore. Like, they think they are, but they know they're not.
Right.
And even their wives hate them, and they get half their pension, and they leave them. So I get it now. But at the time, I was faced with choices. If Kenny had told me, I'm not doing it. I'll have a beer with you at Joe's Bodega, but I'm not gonna do this. I would have said okay, and I would have just. Probably, and I don't want to say this for sure, I would have just went on and did my thing, probably got a pension and left. But instead I
got a partner in crime.
I had a willing partner in crime, and I was just, this is great. Because now I got a guy who's all in, and he was all in. So what happens in the so it doesn't really show up in the movie. What happens is, doesn't at all show up in the movie, is Kenny Urell I know he's a little soft in the underbelly, right? And so I ended up going away to a fucking rehab, because I went to the. You can't have a drug problem in the police department because you get terminated. So I told him I had an alcohol problem, which, all right, whatever. And I go up to the rehab, and while I was away at the rehab, I told Kenny, Kenny, I found out a little bit more information by going into rehab. They came to the counselors, which are cops, said, listen, you're in a lot of fucking hot water from what we know. And you just need to stop whatever you're doing, do your rehab time, and then pray and go to church. This is what the guy said, and go to church every Sunday. Right. I said, okay. Young, 26, 25, whatever the fuck I was. Yeah, okay, sure. So, but I knew a problem could arise from a weak link. So in the meantime, 3 of my friends get arrested for shaking down a bodega, for doing an armed robbery. So they're out. I put a bail for one and put one in my house because his family kicks him out. He's got nowhere to go. And his name is Walter, that big Walter in the fucking big Walter with the big fucking hands. I end up putting him in my house. In the meantime, I tell Kenny, you got to get hurt. It's 4th of July weekend. I'm in a rehab. We just came home from rehab. And Kenny's not getting any patrol assignments because if you go on patrol, you're going to get hurt, right? Because it's arrest. Every day there's an arrest. But it's 4th of July weekend and everybody's out on details like in Manhattan doing parade duties, all this shit. So they're short manpower. So Kenny hasn't been on patrol in 4 months. Not one day.
What's he doing?
He's in the station house.
Okay.
Doing paperwork.
Yeah.
Phone answering, clerical shit because they don't want him out there. 4th of July weekend, they're short. They put him in a car his first day. He makes an arrest. Some kind of fence was involved, whatever. Grabs a mooch, brings him in, and goes into the bathroom and breaks his hand. On the sink. And he already broke it once before. So now he goes, bang! He fucking slams it on the porcelain sink, breaks it because he's left-handed. He breaks his fucking hand. He goes in and tells the fucking boss, he says, I'm making the arrest. I got hurt grabbing this guy over the fence, whatever. No one gives a fuck. They're not thinking. They're not thinking he's under investigation. He needs to get the fuck off the job. He breaks his hand. He never goes. One day on patrol, breaks his wrist, never goes back to work. He gets a 3/4 disability pension. I get it for him because my uncle runs the pension section, right? He gets medically approved because you can't have a cop with a bad wrist that has broken now twice in the last, like, say, 6 years.
Right.
Because now he's going to be shooting a gun. What if his wrist goes bad in the middle of shooting a gun and kills the kid instead of the old man?
You're right.
So they approve him medically. Now it's supposed to take a year to 2 to get released through the pension system. I call my uncle up. I say, Unc, Kenny's just approved yesterday. He goes, okay, it's going to take 30 days. He goes from the bottom of the pile to the top of the pile, and he's fucking walking out the door. And who's walking in? Because you go before the pension board. The pension board, boom, approved. You're done. He's walking out the door. In comes Trimboli, the guy that was following me for fucking years, eating pasta dinner in front of my house. His wife kicking him out the door. He's walking in to interview him, and Trimboli goes, "Urel." He goes, I wasn't there, but I was told.
Yeah.
He says to him, "What are you doing here?" He says, "I'm sorry, Sarge. I got nothing to say to you."
Yeah.
He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm off the job. I'm retired, 3/4 disability." He goes, "I wanted to ask you about Dowd." He goes, "I'd love to tell you." He says, "But I'm not required to talk to you right now. I'm done. Gotta go." But like the love to tell you thing was in there, you know?
Yeah.
He wanted to tell him. So he leaves. He gets his 3/4 disability. Now he's sitting at home bored. He likes the action.
That's right.
The action.
Okay.
He likes the action. So I'm running around now. I've made it through the rehab 2 years. I went to 2 years of rehabs work, and then Kenny is calling me up. I need some work. I need some bricks. I need something. I didn't know he was involved in fucking drugs.
Right.
I had no idea.
Was he before, or this is just something he decided to do?
So what happened was this. This story is so fucking...
Yeah.
His cousin was a cop in the 7-3, was bringing home shit they were stealing from the drug dealers.
Right.
Giving it to Kenny, and Kenny was selling it. I have no idea. So one day he says to me, "Mike, could you help me get a piece of fucking, big eight, whatever they want, a half a key?" I go, "Of course I can." So he goes, "Okay." Anyway, I go to his house to pick up the money, and they're there. The cops are everywhere. like plainclothes. So he doesn't know it. I go, Kenny, your fucking house is hot as fucking pistol. He goes, what do you mean? I go, there's cops all over the place here. He goes, I just left your house and 2 cops were following me. He goes, how do you know they were cops? I said, Kenny, I left your house. I circled the block. There fucking 2 cops' cars was the plainclothes follow me, twisting, going different directions. He says, Mike, they've been following you for 5 fucking years. He says, they're probably still following you. I go, I don't know, Kenny. This seemed a little different. P.S. He hangs up. I leave his house. I get in the car, go to work, pick up the kilo, whatever. He gets on the phone. I don't know this. I'm not there. It comes up later on. And he's on the phone. His phone's tapped. He's calling the 7-3 precinct to have his cousin run a license plate. The license plate comes back to Suffolk County Police Department. You think he'd fucking tell me?
Right.
For the next month and a half while they're investigating us, he already knew that Suffolk County PD was following us. He never told me. He didn't change his act either. He ends up getting arrested. I mean, the things that took place were insane. I get arrested eventually. It was May 6th, 1992. Now, that was the 4th day after they burnt LA down.
Right.
3 or 4 days after Rodney King, I guess the not guilty trial must have...
Yeah, not guilty.
Not guilty verdict came out.
That was...
Yeah, and they were burning the city down. They burned New York City down. They burned, breaking everything up. Right. This whole thing, this is sometime in, let's say, March. He was actually under investigation from January, which I didn't know. I come into the picture sometime in March. I go away to the Cayman Islands. I come back from the Cayman Islands, and I want to set up a little bit of an organization where I don't have to do any more work. Just put my money up, let my Dominican friends sell cocaine, and I'm just a part of the business. We end up pooling our money together.
But you're still a police officer.
Of course.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it was a given.
Yeah.
I was like,
I told you, I'm getting out one of 3 ways: arrested, injured, or retired. One of the 3. So I set up this organization where I don't have to just put the money up. So, and it was a difficult time. It was around Easter, and the price of cocaine doubled. It went from $17,500 to $35,000 a kilo. So our numbers kept moving. And so at this point, I didn't want to lay out all of the money, so I encouraged Kenny to come. Kenny goes ahead and he calls up 3 of the guys from the 73rd precinct and tells them to meet him to put the money. So now there's 3 cops from the 73rd precinct, his cousin, and 2 of his...
Are putting up money to invest in cocaine.
In cocaine business, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then you have Kenny. So you have 3 cops in the 73, Kenny, myself, and my partner. I couldn't leave my partner out. I didn't need him, but he's my partner. If I'm going to be making moves, he's got to get a piece of something, right? So now there's 5 of us involved in this fucking kilo distribution ring, right? And some other cop gets arrested for steroids. Anyway, so we had this whole thing set up. It's working like a clock. The first week we put $54,000 back in our pockets, which
each?
No. So 35 was the investment.
Okay.
We got back 54,000.
Okay.
So the next week it would be 35 and get something similar. But I was a little annoyed. I wanted to be more. I wanted to double the fucking money. I want 70,000. So the next week it's going to be 70,000, not 54. That's bullshit. So, I mean,
right.
You're fucking selling 20 kilos a fucking day. I want 2.
Yeah.
So you're flipping yours. I want mine flipped along. This is the truth. This is the way it is, right?
Right.
Why should I get double my money? I gave you 35. I want 70. Can we do this? The answer was yes. So don't give me 54. So next week doesn't come, by the way. So in the interim, Kenny's got to pick up a piece for himself to sell. So now he's got this machine going that I set up, and he's got to pick up a piece. So I got to pick up, half a kilo or something from somebody in Brooklyn, and in the patrol car. I meet him at work. The guy jumps in the back of the patrol car, and now they got me on film. And I'm knowing it. I'm knowing something's wrong. And I'm looking up. There's an apartment building upstairs, and there's this building over here, a rectory, a church rectory, and I see, it looks like there's cameras in these windows. Is this possible? Like when you know, but you say no, it's not really happening.
No, you still feel untouchable.
Yeah, there's no way.
It's
not the camera on me. The camera's on somebody else right now. 2 cameras, one there, one there. And it's funny because in the Marlin Commission hearings that was where I testified, they show it.
Right.
They show those angles from cameras of me getting in and out of a patrol car and the guy jumping in the back of the patrol car as I drive off. And the funny thing was, he would normally just hand me the shit. I go, keep it low. Like, here I am saying, keep it low. Because I know.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you know, and there's just nothing you can do. Like, you handed the fucking paperwork in for your fucking fraud, and this could be the last one.
Yeah.
And you're knowing it. Like I'm knowing something's wrong. And so I keep that thing low. So he hands it, like the seat's break in the middle. He hands it through me in the seat, and I was so careful to keep it low that the cameras couldn't see it. And of course we're driving, so the cameras are not, they're stationary.
Right.
I mean, think about what I'm telling you. I know I'm being filmed in uniform, receiving kilos from a guy that's a Colombian and I just take it and it's good stuff. It sucked, but it was better than nothing. And the price was a premium. I get the shit. I drive around the block. I meet Kenny. I give it to Kenny, and there's a car parked behind Kenny. And I see the car. Kenny doesn't see it. I see it. He goes home with the fucking package. I do patrol, and I don't get called. Like, the whole time, there's no radio runs for me. For 2 days now, there's been no radio runs for me. So I've been, I'm on patrol, and there's no calls for my sector for 2 days.
Does that ever happen before?
Never happened.
Not even
before.
a day.
No. And I was by the way, I'm in a less busy place now.
Right.
I've gone to rehab, and now instead of going back to the 7-5, I'm now in the 9-4 precinct, which is heaven. Anyway, heaven for patrol work. Like,
right.
Oh my God, the cat in the fucking tree type thing, you know? Well, a drunk Polish guy, but in the wrong house. They go to the wrong house. And it's the same house, but it's on the wrong block. You know, they were a block off. And that's my night, you know? So, and no calls. And then all of a sudden, we get a call. So, what am I? 9-4 Henry. 9-4 Henry. Yeah. 10-2. I was like, 10-2. Why would they call us back to the precinct? And I look at my partner. I mean, we've done nothing wrong here today. We've done nothing wrong here today. You know, I maybe dropped half a kilo. No one's business, you know. I mean, you didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. We're good. So I drive back to the precinct, but I go the wrong way on a one-way street to the precinct, which is the first time I ever did this.
But just by accident?
No, something's not right. I'm driving to my maker right now, and I'm like, something's not right. And I see this car as I'm pulling up to the precinct. Now, the car's facing it's one way. The car's facing this way, and I'm pulling up this way. And I look, and there's two guys sitting in the front seat of the car. Plain clothes. I'm like, that's a little odd, huh? So I pull in. I just had gotten like 2 big gulps filled with vodka and 7-Up. Absolute big ones like this. Took a big hit off of one. I did a couple of bumps. Was doing good, right? Get out of the car. I walk into the precinct, and I hear footsteps behind me. And I'm like, don't turn around. This can't be good. This just can't be good news. So it's like I know I'm walking in to the end.
Yeah. But you know,
there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do. If it's over, it's over.
It's happening.
There's no move you can make during this process that changes anything.
Except get back in the patrol car and drive to Pennsylvania, maybe,
right.
or Canada.
Yeah,
one of the two. So I'm like, okay. So I walk up to the desk, and I go, "What's up, Sarge? You said 10-2." And the sergeant at the desk is like mortified. He goes, "Go to the captain. He wants to speak to you." It's set up. This is a setup. He knows he's setting me up. He just doesn't know what to do.
No, there's nothing.
There's nothing. He's following orders. So he points. We turn around to go to the captain's office, and up comes these 2 detectives from Internal Affairs with their trench coats on and their fucking badges. This is the lieutenant so-and-so, and blah, blah, blah. We're taking you for a department-ordered drug test. I'm like, that's all? This is perfect. My career ends here.
Right.
It's over. I'm going to go downstairs and change. Put my shit on, my civilian clothes, go take the piss test, fail, and go home. didn't work out.
Yeah.
It didn't work out that way. But so I'm getting dressed downstairs. Now that they've ordered us downstairs, the scene is insane. I'm downstairs trying to get dressed, and the cop, plainclothes detective, is almost humping me. He's so close. I can't move. I'm trying to. I go. Am I under arrest? I know something's wrong here. Am I under arrest? He goes, no, why would you say that? I said, because you're so close to me, I couldn't bend my knee to take my pants off to put my civilian clothes on. So he goes, no. So I go, well, would you back up? Because now I'm getting pissed. Would you back up? So he goes like this. So he went from here to here. He gave me like an inch more room. Holy fuck, this is serious, because he's on my shit. So now in my pants is the cocaine. That, goes on the right.
Some
home.
cocaine.
Yeah, 5 grams, whatever.
Yeah, not the kilo.
No, that's already been
gone.
given to Kenny. He's got that on Long Island. I'm trying to get dressed. Can't get dressed. Now I go to him. Now something's wrong. When I go to him. You think I should take my off-duty service revolver, my off-duty revolver, or leave it? He goes, you can leave it there. You can come back and get it later. He says to me, so wow. Come back and get
Might be all right. I'll be back.
Yeah, I'll be back. Get outside, get in the patrol, back in the plainclothes car, and I'm saying, I got to get rid of this cocaine on me. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? So I go, I look at, there's no handles. There's no handles and no windows on the fucking door. So I can't open a window, and I can't open the door. So I go, and I turn around and I look at them, I go, I don't know what this is about, but one thing I want you guys to know is my partner has nothing to do with it. Whatever this is, my partner has nothing to do with it. I want to exculpate this kid because I feel bad. He followed me, and I love the guy, and he's the godfather of my kid. And if I go down, at least someone can survive this, right? Not, but anyway, don't you worry about him. He's got his own things. Now he's already been arrested for murder and beat the charge. Okay, so that's why we're together. Because no one will work with him and no one will work with me. So this is so much I skipped to get to this point.
Yeah.
So now we're in the back. So how am I going to get rid of this fucking cocaine? Because God forbid I do get pinched. I might get pinched here, right? So, but God forbid.
So you're going to fail the piss test anyway for cocaine.
Yeah, it's going to fucking light up the fucking... It's going to light it up. I just took a bump a couple minutes ago, so it's good. And yesterday and the day before, it was good. So I go, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. They go, okay, yeah, no problem. I smoked that cigarette, and then I smoked another one right behind it. There was a layer of fog inside the fucking car. You guys, can you open a window? I want them to open the fucking window. I mean, this is like a 15-minute drive from there to Jamaica. We were going to go take the piss test. They didn't open the fucking window once, so I said, okay, no problem. When I get out in Jamaica, or Jackson Heights is where the Left Rack City. I'm going over to Left Rack City where the police has their medical office. I mean, you got to understand, police medical office, okay? Like, they have their own medical division, okay? It's like fucking, because there's 35,000 cops. They have a medical division. They have 2 floors of an office, 4 floors of an office building with like 700 offices in it. This is just, it's
massive.
Massive. It's a massive bureaucracy. And so I get out of the car, and right there, and I turn around, and there's a phalanx of brass. If you know what brass means, the guys with the brass on their fucking hats and
lieutenants, all
the bosses, a phalanx of them, all the way from the street, and it's about 40, 50 feet from the street to the entranceway door. Then there's the entranceway phalanx, there's the hallway phalanx, and the fucking button opens up on the elevator, and I look up, there's a guy with more scrambled eggs on his fucking hat than I've ever seen in my career, because he was a chief. The chief was standing in front of me, and a deputy inspector, both of them like this, and I just got on the elevator, and I turned around, and I was standing between them. I don't know who they are, and then the guys that brought me in went up, so there was 4 of us in the elevator, opened up the elevator on the 16th floor, I think it was, and sure enough, another half a dozen scrambled eggs on each side, phalanxing me into...
Did you realize at this point this is for you, or are you still thinking this is just coincidence? Is it overwhelmingly obvious this is here for me? They're doing this.
It hasn't hit me yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just think this is weird.
This is weird. Yeah, because I don't know this. I don't know that there's 6 cops getting arrested.
Right. And there's been an ongoing investigation. Well, you knew there was an. They
Yeah,
were
but
kind of, but you didn't realize
they've
it was
been investigating me for 5 years.
You didn't realize it was this
How
massive.
long were they investigating you? Right, forever.
Right.
Right. So for 5 years, I've been dealing with this shit. It's no big deal.
Right.
This is fake. This is fake. This 147 cops
Right.
from Internal Affairs are on my case, and I think I'm seeing shadows. I think it's paranoia. But it's not. It's real. But I'm thinking I'm crazy. So now they're all in uniform, phalanx in this place. And I open up the door, and there's this lieutenant who's been after me for fucking 4 years. Because he tried to fucking piss test me out 4 years ago. Or 5 years ago, whatever the fuck it was. And he's standing there with this grin on his face, and he goes, "Okay, Dowd, I got you here." It's a whole, with an H, I forget his fucking name. I want to fucking smack him. Anyway, because he's a prick. He yelled at me one time, "Get in here now." I says, "What do you mean, get in here now? I'm sick." I was on sick leave. He goes, "I'm Lieutenant so-and-so in charge of health services." And he goes like this. "And I'm ordering this officer," like he pulls the phone away, "and I'm ordering this officer to get in here today by noon, and he's saying he's sick. I know you're sick, officer. I'm telling you to get," like you can tell it, "I'm telling you to get in here now." And he's like, "Could you imagine?" Like, "Can you imagine this guy's dude, all right, I'm on my fucking way." I get there, and they bring me into psych services, and I ended up going away to the farm for 2 years. But anyway, so he's there now, and he's got me. He's got to get me to piss, because they tried to do it to me before, but I fucking beat them. See, so I beat them, and I can't beat this. So I'm about to piss. I think I'm going to piss and go home. So I take the piss. I go, I'm drunk now, because the fucking drunk. Now the drink is hitting me, right? And I'm realizing, it's just going to be over. It's good. Like,
I can go home.
I'm going to go home and just kavilch with the family and say, what am I going to do now with the rest of my life? So here I am. The guys finally got me to take the piss test. I piss in his cup. I'm like, I'm happy it's over. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice night. And I turn around, and then goes, and in walks these 2 other guys into this small cubicle area, and he goes, "Suffolk County detectives." And I go, "Oh, how you doing, guy? What's up? You're under arrest for conspiracy to distribute narcotics." I go, "Oh, okay." I mean, what am I supposed to say? The nerve of you. I mean,
right.
Like, so one of the things is, the newspaper account is, and he just, turn around matter of factly. What am I supposed to do? Kick and scream and say, "Go fuck yourselves"? I mean, I just put my hands behind my back. They put the cuffs on me. So now they go to search my pockets.
Right.
And I got that cocaine in my pockets that I couldn't get rid of yet. Fucking the 14 times I tried to move it out. And the guy goes, "Oh, look at this. What we got here?" And I go, "Yeah, I got a little problem." What do you? I go, "I got a little bit of a problem. What else? So right. What? So tough to that. So back at the patrol car, now they're taking me out to Suffolk County, because that's where they're booking me. See, the whole thing here is the city's pissed off.
Right.
Because they didn't get their guy. The out of jurisdiction got the guy.
Right. You're not, because you're in the city. You're not at Suffolk County.
I'm not a Suffolk County police officer or anything. And they've had me under investigation for 5 years, and they couldn't put a pinch on me. But Suffolk County has an investigation for 3 months, and they got me. Because they got me because Kenny.
Well, because of Kenny.
Well, because of the wires. Kenny didn't give me up. It was wires that got me, and then Kenny on bail puts a wire on, and then he gets me. People don't know how the story actually breaks out, but that's how it breaks out. So anyway, telling the story is exhausting, And how much should we skip when we tell these stories, right? Like 80% or more of it, right? In fact, I'm working on getting the screenplay done now, because they can't get it down. They've been working on it for 5 years, a screenplay to do a remake movie of the 7-5 documentary, and they just can't get it. So I've been through the mill with all kinds of involvement with different people in Hollywood.
Right.
Frank Scott, who did Get Shorty. I never saw it.
You never saw Get Shorty?
No, I never saw it. Yeah. The guy
John Travolta. It's a great movie.
Yeah, the guy who wrote that was supposed to do it. Then it was Scott Gillespie, a guy named Gillespie, who did I, Tonya. I don't know, I, Tonya movie with the ice skater girl. The ice skater.
Like Tonya for Tonya Harding.
Tonya Harding, yeah.
Okay. Well, wait, real quick. How much time did you get?
I got 14. Well, so I ended up getting a 168-month sentence. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, 14 years.
And then you went to prison, obviously.
Yeah, I went
Where'd
to
you go?
prison. I started out I did MCC for 2 years waiting to be sentenced.
When you got grabbed, did you ever get out on bond? No.
From Suffolk County, I did.
Right.
But then when I was out and they set me up to the feds, no bond.
Yeah.
I could have tried to get bond, but my lawyer's like, dude, you're going to do some time, so you might as well start now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. You know?
Yeah, no, that's true.
All right. You know,
unless you're mounting, there's no reason to be out unless you're mounting a defense, like you're trying to go to trial, but you can't go to trial.
So to be fair, I was going to go to trial because the first plea offer was 24 to 30 years. And you know what that's like, you know? I'm like, who the fuck did I kill?
Right.
You know, so knowing that I was going to do some time, I was shocked to see their first plea. They don't call them offers; they call them agreements. Like the first plea agreement was for 30 years, and I said, "I'm not fucking doing that. I'm going.
Might as well go to trial. Might as well try.
Might as well go to trial." So that's what was my approach for the first 6 months or so, and then they knocked it down to like 24, and then they knocked it down to 17, and I still said, you know what, I ain't doing 17 years without going to trial for it. Fuck it. So I pushed it. It probably lasted a little over a year, and then the Mullen Commission people came to me and said, we'll write a letter to your judge for you if you help us. And so I turned them down twice, and the third time they came to me was shortly after they said I did 9 murders in the ghetto. And I'm like, okay, well, this is the newspaper, you know, you know.
What just bullshit?
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's bullshit, but I'm saying, where did they come up with that?
Just
somebody said something.
They're looking for. There's 9 murders that they can't figure out around this period of time when I had a brand new 9mm gun, and they were all 9mm murders. I mean, in the ghetto, everybody gets killed with a 9mm.
Right.
But anyway, so they were investigating me and my partner for 9 murders, specifically me, I guess, because Kenny's like a good guy, and so it was all over the news. I'm like, listen, I didn't do any fucking murders. And by the way, Mullen Commission called again today, and asking if you could please, cooperate with them.
They'll what were they investigating? What was that commission investigating?
Their task was to investigate corruption in the city, and basically just as systematic like mine was, whatever. And so I drew them a roadmap. I showed them how to do it. They arrested the whole 30th precinct. They called it the Dirty 30. They arrested the whole night shift, which is 30 guys on the 30th precinct. They were all in cahoots. I don't know anybody. I didn't know anybody, but I showed them how to catch me.
Right.
Something like you might have done to show mortgage companies.
The ethics and fraud thing.
Right.
Look,
same thing. So I showed them how to catch me. I said, you don't put a sign, look over here for cash. Dude, you got to make the cops got to be a little more like surprised or industrious. Don't put a sign, check under fucking ice cubes for cash. Yeah. They're going to check. You don't need to tell them, So don't make it so obvious. So anyway, so I gave them a few pointers like that, and I told them how I would see a scene and how I would assess it and how I would know I wasn't being set up. So they did what I told them. And they got the whole 30th precinct. They got a couple of the bunch of guys. So now when I went to get sentenced, they wrote a letter to the judge saying that I was honest and helpful. That's all they would say.
Right. Was this sentence in the state or the feds?
Feds. I never got sentenced in the state because they consumed the superseding indictment. They made it all one to make it a RICO case. So I was,
Okay.
So I got the RICO. Yeah. So I got a RICO indictment, and I pled guilty to it. So I faced 10 to life at my sentencing. And
did the U.S. attorney recommend that you get the low end of the guidelines or anything?
No. He was against everything. He was sort of like what you had to deal with when you went through. Like there was no friend in that courtroom except for the letter, and the judge witnessed my testimony, and even partly to my dismay is some of my sentence, like some of the testimony wasn't very good, like I stole money from some girl, like $300 under the Bible. The mother hid the money under the Bible. I asked the kid, is there any hidden money in the house that they might have robbed? Right. And she goes, well, she's on the phone, Mom. Yeah, I remember. She goes, check under the Bible. So I found it.
He takes it and he goes, looks like the burglars got it.
Yeah, they got it. Imagine that. So, and that's a real shitty thing to do, Right. But part of my justification, well, we all do shitty things. Yeah. Part of the justification was...
listen, you don't have to explain to me.
I know that. but people, they hear that, like, how the fuck can you do that? Well, I got a partner next to me that's threatening me right now. He's like, you fucking set me up. the last job, there was $11,000 in cash. You fucking missed it. You had it in your hand. I said, take it easy, dude. I'm not looking for someone's fucking savings. I'm looking for bags of cash like this.
Right,
I'm not looking
drug
for a
dealers.
fucking, I'm not looking for a knot of $11,000 that someone saved. It's a lot of fucking money. I said, no, it isn't. Not what I'm looking for 30, 40, 50 grand in 20s, not someone's little life saving stack.
Right.
So anyway, long story short, I ended up, the next chance I could to get some money, I did. It was a couple, $300-400, whatever we took from under the girl's Bible, which was horrible.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is, when I got sentenced, the judge said, Mr. Dowd, all the things, you were very helpful, but taking that $300 from the fucking Bible with the girl, was not a very. I said, I'm gonna say, she was letting it known that she was aware of that.
Yeah.
That being said, they said you were very helpful. I was going to give you a sentence to the top end of your guidelines, which would have been 15 and a half years. She said, instead, I'm going to give you right in the middle, which was 168 months. So essentially, she says the Marlin Commission helped me. I'll take her at her word. She could have given me more because they wanted to give me more.
Right.
I'm sure they probably would have given me more if I didn't testify with the Marlin Commission.
Yeah.
But I gave them a hard time in the beginning because I said to them, you don't give a fuck about me or anybody else. I said, you're going to have a bunch of cops kill themselves if I testify for a Marlin Commission. A bunch of cops are going to, and sure enough, 17 cops, I think, or 8 or 12 cops killed themselves right after I testified for the Marlin Commission. So she gave me 168 months, right in the middle of the guidelines, she said, because she felt that I was instrumental in helping the New York City Police Department create the changes that they needed to make the improvements that they desired. So It was positive in the end, But it wasn't something that came easy because I was concerned that they didn't give a fuck about people killing themselves, and they didn't. And they plain out said to me, we don't care. I said, well, what about their families, their wives, their children? And the response was, that's too bad. Like that's
I don't know. It doesn't enter into the equation. It's
it's just no one cares.
No, nobody
They're
loses.
expendable too.
Listen, the U.S. attorneys, and I've seen these guys left and right. Like you got some low-level crack dealer who gets 15 or 20 or 25 years or 30 years.
Right.
I knew a kid that was 19 years old, home, sitting on his couch. His brother comes in, what a reverse sting is.
Right.
Comes in and says, bro, I need you. We had a guy that was going to drive the car. He's not going to drive the car. The kid's never been in trouble before. Says, we need you to drive the car.
Right.
And he goes, for what? And he's like, we know a stash house. There's money in the stash house. We're going to go, money and drugs. We're going to rob the stash house.
Right.
And he's like, bro, all you got to do is drive the car.
Right.
We're going to run out. We're going to come back in. It's here.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's nothing. You're not even involved.
Right.
And he's like, so he's come on, man, I need you. He's like, okay. So he goes, we're going to give you a couple $100. So, okay. So he jumps in the car. He drives. The two guys, the brother and the other guy, jump out of the car to go in. They don't even get in the stash house. The cars pull up, run out. Get on the ground, get on the ground, get on the ground. He doesn't even realize. The kid is so scared, he doesn't even realize. He goes, I don't even know it's DEA.
Right.
He said, I think we're being robbed. He said, they start shooting. I duck down. I hit the fucking gas. He drives forward, hits another car. Then they start shooting at the car. He jumps out and runs from the car. His brother has already been shot and killed, by the way. So they killed his brother. His brother, of course, pulled out. They pulled out guns. They got shot.
Okay.
Yep, they got shot. The kid starts running. They shoot the kid, the 19-year-old kid, blow from his knee, from his leg, from the knee clean off. That's gone.
Wow.
He hits the fucking ground. He loses the leg or half the leg. He ends up getting sentenced for his brother's murder.
Right.
Because you know how it works.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that
someone dies, you charge with murder.
Three of us were gonna, so he's like, I was just driving the car. No, you're a conspiracy to break in. It was a reverse sting. There was never any money in the drug house. It was just setting up the brother. Brother brings him. Kid's never been in trouble. He pled guilty. He got 30 years because he was going to get life because of the murder.
Because of the murder.
Murder that I didn't get. Right. You killed him.
You shot him.
Doesn't matter. You knew they had guns. You knew what was going on. Right. He gets 30 years. And I guarantee that kid probably, had they not presented him with that, he would have never probably ever done anything. He was just driving. And I'm telling you right now, that U.S. attorney slept like a baby that night. You could have given that kid 5 or 10 years. I'm not saying he shouldn't have gone to prison.
You can make your point.
Right. But That's it. It's over.
Yeah, these guys.
Now the taxpayers have to pay for this.
These are heartless. They're heartless people. They really are. They really are.
But I mean, and that's just you know that it's over and over and over again.
Listen,
and they don't
listen. I hate to be political because my politics. You may not. I mean, they go after this guy Roger Stone because they don't like him. I mean, they're after him again. I mean,
yeah.
They're after him again.
Yeah, I saw that documentary
They're after him again.
He's great.
I love him because he's crazy.
Yeah.
He's odd. He's an oddball.
Yeah.
That's what makes this world go round. People like him.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you can agree with him or disagree with him, but there's no reason. They got 28 fucking guys going after a guy because he fucking... he signed his name wrong on a form?
Yeah.
I mean...
They're all over him. I was, I also wanted to mention that it's funny because whenever I say anything about the U.S. attorney, look, let's face it, 99% of the inmates, they're guilty.
They're guilty.
You know, the sentences are just draconian.
Yeah,
they're outrageous. They're insane fucking long sentences.
Well, they're designed to make people cooperate.
Right, of course. That's
the reason. But if you're the last guy on the totem pole,
you're just done.
You're done. You got nothing. Yeah. So.
Well, the thing, and look, let's face it. Most of you've been to prison. I don't want to live in the neighborhood with these guys.
No,
like these are not nice guys.
No. Most, yeah. But you see, I mean, the murderers are the nicest guys in the joint.
Yeah,
normally
they are.
Yeah,
and they have the lowest recidivism rate. And recidivism as far as once they get out, they never kill anybody. Yeah. Very seldomly does somebody get out and kill somebody again.
No, stone cold killers.
Yeah, but that's a far and few in between. Most guys, it's an accident, or they did kill somebody. I thought,
right,
but they're not.
Yeah, but most of the guys involved in the drug.
This is so horrible.
The drug trade brings violence, and
that's
he's a great guy. But yesterday he killed 3 people. I mean, but meanwhile he's making love to and he's raising kids. Right? He's loving this woman, or 3 of them, and he's raising kids. So I mean, it all is a perspective. Here's a great daddy. Yeah.
So
just not a good business guy.
So right now there's a documentary. You referred to it as a movie a few times, but it's a documentary.
Right. Correct.
That you're hoping gets turned into a movie.
So right now Ben Stiller has been added on to be the director. So this is now 5 years in the making. Okay,
right.
So it's gone through several. Like Gillespie, who directed I, Tonya, I think. Anyway, and another 2 or 3 directors have had it, and now Ben Stiller has it. Him and a few people. They can't get the story right.
Right.
For film. I got the story for film because I know. I mean, just picture the scene of all these fucking scrambled eggs, like fucking blinding the day I got arrested. And you can start in the beginning or the end or the middle. That could be the middle of the movie because the beginning of my movie is when I come home from prison. That's fucking heavy.
Right.
I mean, think about the day you got released. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm going to give you a scenario and we'll end on this because there's so much we can talk about. The coming home from prison, right? So we'll end on this. I come home from prison with much to do, by the way. Newspapers, all this other shit, bullshit.
What year?
2004. April, I think, 2004. You think I'd remember the date, but I don't. I think it was April 13th, but I'm not sure.
Right.
So, because that was the only day I slept. That was I shouldn't say only. I slept every day, but the first day I overslept in my entire prison fucking time was the last day. They had to wake me up. Like they knocked up. They want your shit.
Yeah.
The guys are waiting for your shit. They want your sweatpants, your sneakers, your cups, your fucking, all
you give away your stuff. I don't need my prison sweatpants and my sandals.
Yeah, you need that. You give it out on the way out. So they had to wake me up. So I slept like a fucking log, I guess. And so when I get home after a couple of days at the halfway house, you get a pass to go see your family. So I had a 4-hour pass to go see my family. So the scene is fucking unreal. I'm going to my parents' home. Now I'm a man who had 4 homes and a condominium on the ocean in Myrtle Beach. I had money out of every pocket, and it's to live life. And here I am, I got nothing. And I look, I'm going to take a shower. I just want to take a shower. I want to take a shower when no one's standing out the door. When no one's waiting for me to get out. I want to get my own little fucking thing. So I look out the window, and there's my brother's 2 kids who I don't even know their fucking names. I don't even know their names. But it hit me that the world has passed me by.
Oh, yeah.
It's passed me by. I don't think I belong here. So I go to get in the shower. This is fucking, 12 years in prison. I get in the shower, and it lets go. I don't know if the fucking tears or the water is wetting me. I'm so fucking... just everything's coming out. I'm crying so hard that I'm saying to myself, you are crying so fucking hard right now. And it just didn't stop. I mean, I don't take... 3-minute shower. I'm a 3-minute in, out, fine, gotta go, things to do. 20 minutes in the shower with this fucking water hitting me and tears hitting me, and I'm not sure if it's the tears or the water. And I'm thinking the whole world has changed, and I'm not really ready for this. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to begin. I went to prison. I was picking up $54,000 the day before I went in, was I going to Myrtle Beach or the Bahamas this week or Vegas that week, and here I am. I don't even have money for a sandwich if I walked out the door. And I didn't want to be, I wanted to go back to prison.
Oh, absolutely.
I wanted to go back because I didn't even know how to walk across the street. I didn't know how to cross the street. I was like, and then with the fucking press following me, I didn't want to fucking, like when the hand goes up to walk across the street, you stop, go, walk. I didn't want to break the fucking rules. But not because I could give a fuck about walking across the street illegally, but these motherfuckers take a picture. Dowd breaking the rules already. I mean, this is... Anyway, so that's how I lived it, but I've come a long way right now. I'm still working on my book, which is forever. I've probably written it 4 times now, different people. I had writers come on, legit writers, guys that have 4 or 5 books. I don't know what happened. They had treatments together. Then they say, oh, that story's been told. Really? You told my fucking story? Who told my story? They don't, so I don't know what's going on. And then, a lot of stops and starts. And,
it takes forever.
It takes a long time. And there's no one really reaching out. No one's like looking to help you. You know? I lost a job making $100,000 a year because this documentary came out about my life. So it's been a lot of stops and starts. But the good thing about it is, overall, I'm okay. I'm okay. Life is good.
Yeah. And you heard me say that. Like I hear people complain all the time, and I'm like, what? It's fucking amazing out here. Yeah. All I have to do is remember laying in my bed, my bunk in prison. Right. Anytime I start to feel stressed out or upset about something, I immediately just go, "What are you doing, bro? Right. You lived out of a 3-foot by 18-inch by 20-foot or 20-inch locker.
Cans of tuna, you were fucking big dog.
Right. Exactly. Like, this is good. Like it, and the worst day out here is better than the best day in prison.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I lived in someone's spare room for over a year. An ex-girlfriend's spare room with her 2 kids and her husband.
I live in my ex-girlfriend's house right now, and she don't want to get rid of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm good to her.
Yeah.
There's nothing intimate.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and her are friends. My girlfriend comes from Canada. She flies in. She stays at my girlfriend's house with me.
Yeah.
And right now we're in Clearwater, staying in a condo.
Yeah. My new girl, my chick Jess, would stay in the spare room with me at my ex-girlfriend's house. Not that there's anything there, but Stacy loves me. I help take out the garbage. I put up shelves. I change light bulbs. I do whatever.
She's got a guy around she trusts.
And her husband loves me because I put up the light bulbs. I change the shelves. The groceries. Where's Matt?
Yeah, right.
Guys, come watching this. You know.
Yeah.
So
it works.
Yeah, but it's so good out
Keep
here.
My bills small now.
Yeah. And it's funny, like dead broke now. Yeah. Like most of the time, I barely making my bills every month. Never been happier. Yeah. Didn't realize how unhappy I was with money.
Chasing it.
Until I had no money.
Exactly.
And realized this is good. Yeah. This is a good life.
Yeah, I keep my shit small. I stay within my means. You know, I don't need to go to the Bahamas this weekend. I'd like to. If someone wants to send me a fucking ticket, go right ahead. Otherwise, I'm not going.
People are like, oh, you don't care about money. No, let's not get crazy here. I'm not an idiot.
No.
I want to make money.
Oh, yeah.
But I know that it doesn't really mean that much. If I never do better than I'm doing right now, I'm good.
I'm okay.
Yeah. I have nothing to complain about.
Right. Yeah. So I'd like more, but I don't really want more or need more.
Right. I'm not willing to do anything over the line to get it. It's not
necessary.
Right.
It's not necessary. So.
Yeah, it's too good out here.
But thanks for having me in. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you. Your story's interesting as well.
Yeah.
So
It's all right.
Yeah.
But I did finish my book, Shark in the Housing Pool. You can buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, is it? Okay.
Yeah, bro, you gotta.
Yeah. You should throw me a copy for coming here.
I actually will. I'll grab one. All right, so that's it. So if you like the interview, if you like the channel, subscribe, hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment for the algorithm, and I'll see ya.
Mike Dowd.
The Mike Dowd.
Instagram, Twitter, and Mike Dowd or Michael Dowd on Facebook. So say hello, leave a message, follow.
Actually, yeah, and I'll put all the, if you send me the links, we'll put all the links in the description too.
Good.
And that's it. And good luck with getting the movie made. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Larry and the whole thing. Yeah. All right. See you.